Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Michael Jarvis Extraordinaire with one of my unprofessional, unofficial product reviews. And today it's going to be the Mopar Halibrand wheel. And this is going to be the HB006-010. It's a 20 by 9 on a 5 on 15 inch bolt pattern. The center bore is 71.6, so that means it's actually hub centric for a Mopar, a modern Mopar, like a Charger, Challenger, 300, Magnum. So this is what I'm going to put on my 300. The back spacing is 5.63 inches, and this is in a carbon gray with a semi-gloss coat. So I got one here to do a little unpackaging. So let's see what's inside here. Now they do a great job of getting these things to you. Very, very professional. They make sure that by the time that this gets to your house, with all them numbskulls at FedEx and everywhere, all them delivery people, you know, throw them around in the back of their truck. So this is a really, really nice looking wheel. Here's a little shot of the wheel here. It's a 5Y design, which, you know, the 5Y, it's getting a little long in the tooth now, but I think it's still a really good looking wheel. Now it does come with the little Halibrand center cap there. Show you kind of what it looks like on the inside. It's 20 by 9, so that means this is actually 10 inches from here to here. Got the information back there on the back of the wheel. Okay, just for your information, Halibrand is it's a brand that's a really old brand. It says the original mag wheel because originally their wheels were made out of magnesium, which hence the term mag wheels. Of course, there were a lot of magnesium wheels made for factory cars back in the 60s, especially some Mopars, what we call the recall wheels that came on some darts and such as that, the Kelsey Hayes recall wheels. What would happen is the brakes would get really hot, and then the wheels would get hot, and the magnesium wouldn't hold up like aluminum wheel or steel, and the magnesium would actually crack, and you know that could lead to some problems. So the actual application on Project Rustification 2006 Chrysler 300C, I put one on the front, and it was what I most feared. And a lot of you Mopar guys know this already. The spindle. There's only about a finger's width back there, because I'm going to run a 275/40 on the front, which is an 11-inch wide tire. And this is going to go on a 10-inch wide wheel. Now the sidewalls will pull in ever so slightly on both sides, so it'll probably only stick out about 1/4 of an inch, but I really don't like that. I had a 2014 Charger RT that I put a similar wheel on the front as these, and now these are on a positive 18 offset, which most of your Mopar wheels for modern Mopars will be, if it's a 20 by 9, it'll be about a plus 20 offset if it's aftermarket. But the bad thing is you have to have hub centric rings to locate it. These wheels are actually hub centric from their factory. They intended it that way so that you wouldn't have any problem on your modern Mopar. So the only thing that they really didn't research, and now Holley owns Halibrand wheels now, is the bad thing that they didn't really research is this right here, which means that you would have to run a 245/45/20, which I do not want to run. It just ain't wide enough on one of these cars. So folks, we're going to be going from this right here to this on the front, and this is just a 275/40/20 Pirelli P0 Nero, which I actually ain't going to run on the car. I'm going to go with the Turo 275/40/20 AZ850s. That's just a tire for reference, but you can see it is a whole lot wider than this factory tire that came on here. 225/60/18. Now these tires are actually 10 years old. They have a date code on them. Well, it's upside down. It was in the 36th week of 2014 when these tires were made. Now, like I said, this car sat a long time, which 10-year-old tires, they don't really look too bad. But that's kind of what I like to call may pops. They may pop and they may not. So, which is a reason why, you know, need to get some new tires. Hey, you might as well get some new wheels while you're at it too. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I put my 3mm spacer on, and you see there's a little bit more room back here. There is probably enough room for that 275/40 now, as I had the same setup on a Charger RT, a 2014, with a 20/9 wheel on a positive 20 offset, and it had 3mm adapters. So this is a 20/9 with a positive 18 offset, and then you add 3 more millimeters, so it's going to bring the wheel out toward you 3 more millimeters. So in other words, an 18 sticks out closer past the fender than a 20 does. So I think this should be plenty enough once the tire goes on with the Turos that I'm going to go with. And you got to remember, this ain't going to move through here. So I know it looks a little close, but that tire will not move. Now, if I do for some odd reason have a little rubbing, I can always go with a slightly wider spacer, like a positive 5, but I do not suggest going with more than that, because you start losing threads on your lug nuts. I've seen people run a 10 spacer on these, and I said, how did you actually get the wheel on? If you can see back there, you can kind of see that hub centric ring, and this is what one looks like. It's just a 3mm spacer, and sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes an inch is worth a mile, like what Dominic Toretto said in racing in the Fast and Furious. Winning's winning, an inch is worth a mile. Well, sometimes 3mm is worth a mile. And you can see here that it's also hub centric, so that when you put that wheel on, this is going to be centered on your hub, so this ain't going to move, and then your wheel ain't going to move. Whereas I don't recommend going really more than about 5mm on the front, because like I said, you start losing your threads. Now I've only got a couple of lug nuts on here right now, just to hold the wheel on, basically just to keep it centered flush on the wheel. I don't know if I'm going to go with these spline lug nuts like this. This is M14 by 1.5, but I think black lug nuts will look good on it. Sure look a whole sight better than these factory lug nuts. So this is really great to show you here, is what I was talking about. What I did was, just for kicks and giggles, I decided to double up my 3mm spacers there, just for illustration purposes. So this is what it would be equivalent to putting a 6mm spacer on the front. And you can tell by looking that this tire is going to stick way out from the body. I know the wheel's a little crooked. I should actually go in there and straighten it up, but it looks to me like this wheel is really going to stick out. Yeah, there I squared the wheel up there, and it looks like it will stick out quite a bit with a 6mm spacer. So just keep that in mind, folks, if you want to run that size spacer on the front of a Mopar. This is what I was talking about right here. this is great for illustration purposes. See, that's how much thread that you got. And if you can see that there, it does not allow the lug nut to get really good and centered and have a lot of thread to hold the wheel on. So hopefully I'm going to try the 3 millimeters on the front, and I'm pretty sure that should be enough, as long as the 2006 300 is pretty similar to the 2014 Charger. And lastly but not leastly, if you know anything about the manufacturing process of wheels, which I myself am not an authority, but these are actually flow formed wheels. And if you have ever heard of flow formed, what they do is they take the wheel at a certain size and they put it on the machine, and then they start stretching it out to whatever width that they need. They need a 9, they'll stretch it out to here. They need 9.5, they'll keep on stretching it. And what that does is, on a molecular level, and I'm not a scientist by any means, they say that it kind of cross hatches the molecules, and it makes it really, really strong, kind of like a fully forged wheel. But this is flow formed, so it is not cast. They don't put it in a cast and then pour the aluminum in, and then comes out of the cast. And cast wheels are very heavy, and they don't hold up a lot of times to speed bump, or when you hit something hard in the road, hit a big pothole, because these tires here, you only got that much sidewall as compared to factory what came on it. So that's a whole lot more cushion, that's a whole lot more give when you hit these roads, especially around Nashville, North Carolina, with potholes large enough to swallow a Winnebago around here. So you need something that is going to be strong, because when you hit a pothole, this whole tire will flex and go this way, and then comes close, and it can bend your wheel. And that explains why a lot of cast wheels fail right here. Sometimes you'll find one that's out around, or it's got a big dent in it. Well, more likely somebody has hit some kind of big old hole in the road, and they've actually bent the wheel, and then a lot of times you can lose air pressure and whatever. Sometimes they can, a wheel shop can bend it back, whoever works on them, but sometimes it actually crack the cast, and then you'll have to re-weld it back. They'll have to reform it and re-weld it. I've actually had a cast aluminum wheel repaired from a wheel shop down in Wilmington, and after they did all their stuff on it, then shoot, I probably could have bought a new set of wheels for that other car, but I digress. Now, advertised on Holley's website, these wheels are 20 by 9, and they're only 24.49 pounds, which is really, really light. I mean, these things are so light. And what they'll actually do is, you've got a thing called sprung weight and unsprung weight on a car, and when you can decrease your unsprung weight and make a wheel lighter, guess what? You can spin it faster. It takes less horsepower to turn over a really light wheel than it does a really heavy wheel. Also, it may help you with your gas mileage when you talk about, okay, now get this, if you're talking 25 pounds a piece, that's 100 pounds all the way around. But if you're talking about a wheel that you're buying, aftermarket wheel that's cast aluminum, well, that cast aluminum wheel, them things the same size as this, they could weigh up to 35 to 38 pounds a piece. And you know what that means? You go from 100 pounds all the way around for just your wheels to 140 pounds all the way around for just your wheels. So not only have you added 40 pounds of weight to your car, you're also in the back, when you're getting on it, you're actually having to turn and twist 20 more pounds. Now, a lot has to do with physics and centrifugal force and load distribution and all that stuff, and I understand that. But when your car is actually going down the road, do you want it to be lighter or do you want it to be heavier? Well, I would like it to be lighter than heavier. Perfect example is this. Now, this does not go on a Chrysler 300 or any Mopar. This came off a 2012 Cadillac CTS. This is the rear suitcase muffler in the back, and I weighed it, and it is 80 pounds. That is 80 pounds of weight. And what I did is had the muffler shop just run straight pipes all the way out the back, so now it's only got resonators factory on the X pipe and just straight pipes coming out of the back, and took this suitcase out. So we basically decreased 80 pounds off the car. Now on these cars there's no way I can get down there, but right in the middle there is actually a suitcase muffler just like that, and is right there. Now on the back you're going to find the resonators. So there's your resonators. Your mufflers are in the middle, and then your resonators are on the back. And a lot of guys, they like to just straight pop everything. I don't. But basically, if you take that big suitcase out in the middle, take the resonators off the back, you're going to decrease a lot of weight. And then you could just put some round cylindrical type mufflers in the middle and quieten it on down. So there you go, folks. There's the Halibrand HB006. They must have been James Bond fans, because there's probably a 007 Halibrand. And I can't wait to get these things on the car with my actual tires that I'm going to put on it. And I'll definitely do a follow-up video. So just let me know what you think about these things in the comments. Oh, yeah. By the way, one tidbit. Buy them now if you want them, because I only paid $139 a piece shipped to my door. Of course, you know, with tax, off of Amazon. I think they're closing these out. I talked to a man at Holly, and he thinks that they're getting rid of them. These are originally about $350 a piece. So you're looking $1,400, and I only paid $600 for these wheels off of Amazon. So that's a steal. All right. Folks, let me know what you think about these in the comments. Remember, like and subscribe. And until then, God bless everybody. Be good to each other. Oh yeah, that's Jerry Springer that said that. I just remembered.